And we are back with the Dr. Z show.
Howdy.
Hi.
Yes, that's true. We brought back our one of our guest hosts, Brenna.
Hi.
It's guest host Brenna. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you both?
We're good,
I'm good.
despite near-death experience.
Fair.
So it's true. We keep to answer your unanswered questions, we do keep our guest hosts in suspended animation until we need them.
Yeah,
They
I
at
don't
our beck and
exist
call.
outside of this podcast.
We bend them to our will. Although after the last episode of the show, I just felt like I'm already gonna I'm just gonna put this in here. I just felt shitty, because also I listened back to it, and my fiance listens to it with me and gives me feedback on what we should do next time, what we can do better. And she pointed out all these places where she was like, "You did that to me," and I was like, "Oh man, you're right." I just felt bad, felt like a
I
bad person.
wonder
But
about listening to it with my fiance now too.
yeah, but that's the thing though, is it, especially the last one, and it being about bullying, and if you haven't watched it, definitely check it out because we're gonna come back to it later. Um, it's good to watch that in general, so you can be like, oh crap, I do that, and it's bad. But also it's good to watch it, I feel with your significant other, so they can be like, hey, you do that, and you're like, oh wow, that's terrible. I should stop doing that because it's bad. So,
Yeah.
anyway, on that note, this podcast is not a continuation of our bullying episodes because we have to space those out to avoid feeling like garbage.
Right.
What is this podcast about?
It's about the wonderful children's card game Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering.
A
Woo!
children's card game.
I mean, it is a children's card game.
It says 13 plus.
Yeah, although I've played against 8-year-olds that have
Wrecked
wiped
face.
the floor with me.
Yep.
There's
Right.
this girl that used to come to Friday Night Magic at the local game store, and just every time she walked in, everyone would look up and be like, "Oh, damn."
It's her. I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, and we did frequently and horribly.
Yeah. I love seeing a good young kid who just will wreck face.
I'm
It
glad
makes
you
me
finished
so
that then.
happy. When they they'll play Magic and enjoy it and have fun, and we're all having fun, and it's great. So, who would like to explain what this game is for all of the not not nerd cultured people?
I can do
Or
it.
just people that don't know about Magic. There's plenty of people that know about nerd culture that don't know about Magic.
I've
Accurate.
been thinking about it. So Magic the Gathering is a trading card game, where the goal is to win.
Shockingly enough.
The main way that you win is by getting your opponent's life total to 0. There's other ways to win as well, but that's kind of the main one.
I attack your life points directly.
Yep. Each turn, you're able to put down a land, which is a recurring resource that you have to cast spells. There's 5 different colors of mana, so it's kind of different currencies that you need to be able to play those spells. And each card tells you, kind of like some other deck building games, each card tells you what it does. And there's creatures that you can put down, or different spells that you can cast, all costing a different amount of mana. And at the beginning of each turn, you get all of the mana that you spent from last turn back, to try and respend it. And you start with 7 cards. You draw a card each turn, unless you're the first player, and that's kind of I think as simple as you can get, without getting too much into other mechanics. Your creatures do combat each turn if you have creatures. you can choose to have them attack or not. There's kind of, strategy there in terms of like, do you want your creatures to die or not, like during a fight or whatever. So
I think that's like a pretty good succinct like Mickey Mouse definition.
Yeah,
Of
I
Magic.
would say so. But actually, there are 6 colors of mana.
Oh yeah, there's colorless.
Because
Colorless is now a color.
color.
Although one thing I always add whenever I'm explaining Magic or like talking about like the basics of Magic is every rule in Magic is a rule, or like everything in Magic is like this is the rule unless you have a card that says otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's it's kind of like a flux, I guess.
Yeah, in that
not
way,
exactly.
I would absolutely say so.
It's like Flux and Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's cards that change the rules of the game a little bit. Like, there's some rules of the game that will never change, like the phases that happen. I mean, you can get additional phases, but like there's no card that changes the order of the phases.
There is in the unstable.
Well,
Wait, what?
we'll get into that stuff later.
We can talk about that later.
So the other thing, Magic was invented in 1993 in ancient times by Richard Garfield, mathematician.
Oh, I thought it was wrong. Oh no, I was wrong.
Also known for King of Tokyo and what was the other big one? There was another big game that he invented that was popular.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
King of Tokyo is probably his second biggest after Magic the Gathering. I would wager.
It's a solid wager, I would say.
Okay, so in order to structure this so we're not just faffing about for 7 centuries talking about Magic, because we all can and we definitely would. Brenna is gonna run our life. Not that she doesn't always, but she's gonna run our life with some topics to hit up on. So what is our topic? Hit us.
So Jacob, how did you find out about Magic?
My brother was sent 2 decks. He was sent a Jace and a Liliana kind of themed decks. I don't remember if it was the dual decks or if it was just like some decks that were like a deck that just happened to be blue and a deck that happened to be black. But like that was like we kind of I don't know, it might have been them. I don't remember specifics, but he was sent them by his friends just in the mail because they were like, we're getting into this, like you should check it out, like here's some decks that you can like play test with. And so then he introduced me and my sister to it, and we played Rachel.
Oh, okay.
So we played for a weekend, and we're like, oh, like this is a fun and interesting game. And then that was kind of like all hell broke loose after that. Like we discovered that there was a local game store that carried cards, and I went and bought stuff. And yeah,
if you have kids and you don't want them to do drugs, get them into Magic.
Because they won't have money.
They'll never have money for drugs. And so going off of that, Jacob and I were garbage people at the time, and we played League of Legends a lot. And so I would get on Skype and I'd be like, "Hey Jacob, like we're gonna play League of Legends tonight, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm sorry, I can't. Like I'm playing Magic with my brother. Like you're welcome to come over and play Magic." And I was always like, "No, like whatever, like Magic, like whatever." And then finally one night you invited me over, and I was like, "Fine, like sure, like we're gonna play Magic, like okay." And I think that was like the big night that we had at the Petersons' house. I think was my first.
Okay,
that was my first.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that was my first like real introduction, and I saw that Miracle Vosk deck, and I was like, I'm gonna be this guy. And yeah, and it it spiraled and spiraled and spiraled, and now I have like way too many cards and 15. Does that sound right?
Wait a
15
second.
commander decks, and
Are you talking about the big Commander Night?
yeah.
I thought you got into it before that, like way before that.
Oh no, you're right. Right, I'm mixing it up. Excuse me. So I got into it during the Scars of Mirrodin set.
Me too. Yeah,
And
that was like
magic is broken up by the lore, and it has this huge extensive backstory, and like since it's been around for 7 centuries, and so it has all this lore, and it breaks up the different like groupings of cards into sets. So Jacob and I started playing in this set called Scars of Mirrodin.
this was around released around 2011.
And so I got really into Magic then, and I didn't like Commander. And I played a lot of casual Magic. The big Commander night that I mentioned earlier at the Petersons, that was when I was like, wait, Commander is awesome.
Yeah.
And then like from then on it was like all Commander all the time.
Yep.
And so to sort of explain that again to people that like don't know what Magic is, who are probably like frantically on Google, like what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Commander is a way that you can build decks. So a common like a rule in Magic is like you can only have 4 cards, like 4 of the same cards in a deck that aren't basic land cards, unless you have a card that says otherwise. Like some cards say, you can have as many of this
Any
card.
number.
But in Commander, those rules still apply, but you can only have 1 of each card, and you have to have 100 cards,
No
including
more, no less, including a commander.
a commander, which must be a legendary creature. And all of the colors, like we said earlier, there's 6 colors. Well, there's 5 colors, but whatever. All of the colors in your commander deck can be outside of your commander's color. So, like for example, one of my commanders is a black card that you only spend black mana to cast it. So all of the cards in the deck are either colorless or black. I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no, that's the easiest way to explain commander. Yeah.
so that's how I got into Magic was thanks to Jacob pulling me away from League of Legends.
And then I got into it because of both of you, but I got into it like around Theros, I believe. It was like
Yes.
yeah.
Sounds right.
That's
'Cause-
when yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Theros was the block I came in, and it was very honestly, I don't know if I would have loved Magic as much if I hadn't come in during Theros, because it was all Greek mythology inspired, and as a huge like Percy Jackson Latin nerd, I was so happy that I was like, I get that reference, and I could just enjoy. And I had my White Humans deck that was just all about life gain and vigilance, and then
That's a common like starting deck type is like, oh, like if I can't lose, like if I don't lose all my life, I'm just gonna gain a bunch of life and never die.
I feel like that's one of the easier mechanics to wrap your head around really early. It's just like, I'm gonna make a bunch of creatures, I'm gonna hit you with them, and then some of them are gonna give me life back.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very easy kind of deck archetype to work with. And then
That's not what I started with back in my day.
I started with mono red like a trash human.
Trash human, yeah.
You know what we started with? The reason why we didn't start Life Gain is because it was during Scars of
Crazy.
Right, and Scars didn't have a lot of life
Scars. Gain. Okay, never mind. Now I remember why.
So Life Gain didn't matter, and so there was no reason to build it.
Infect is in my top 3 worst mechanics in Magic.
I just dislike it thoroughly. So, Infect is a mechanic in which a creature with Infect, when it hits you, you personally as the player, it doesn't deal damage, so your life doesn't change, but it does deal Infect counters. What those Infect counters do is that if you have 10 of them, you lose the game no matter
Doesn't
what.
matter if you have a billion life. 10 infect, you're out.
You're out. So people will
Can't get rid of-
generally like give you one infect counter and then like, I don't know, give you more, either using like proliferate, which can add one counter of any kind to each counter type out there or something, and like
Magic gets very complicated.
magic gets very complicated, yeah. But I agree, infect is terrible. But yeah, that's pretty much how we all got into Magic. And then once you guys got super into Commander and that's like all you wanted to play, I was like, well, I guess I have to make a Commander deck or buy a Commander deck. And they just started coming out with all the precons. So
Well, and see, the thing I like about Commander is like, and I like feel pretty strongly about this, and I used to feel like way stronger about this than I do now. But I feel like all of the other ways you can play,
formats,
like
yeah,
all the other formats like Modern and Standard and Legacy, they're all like, get 4 of this card and then win the game.
yeah.
Like, or like get 4 of the most expensive card in the set or in the, in the deck archetype and then just win. And I don't like that. I like all the cards like working together, like synergizing, by themselves, like for the strategy elements.
And with Commander too, cards never rotate out. They never.
Well, they get
get banned,
and it changes, but not a lot.
But if it's being banned, that there's got to be a reason for it, right? So I don't know. I'm not super mad about banned cards.
Prime
but
time. Banned.
I know. Rest in peace, Prime Time.
I mean, it's fair. Like,
it was super good. Yeah, there was a reason Primeval Titan was banned, and it was because it was really good. But yeah, so that's how we all got into Magic. Now, what is your current relationship with Magic? Like, how much are you playing? Where are you guys at with Magic?
Order for this.
Yeah.
So I quit Magic for about 3 years. I gave like away all of my cards, except for like the junk ones that I couldn't sell very easily.
Including the incredible Goblins deck. Oh man, that deck is so good. I love it.
That was the first Commander deck that I built after that night that Anthony mentioned. I had this card from a deck that I had bought like at Walmart.
That was the Dragons deck, right?
Yeah, it was a card called Krenko Mob Boss, and it was like a Knights versus Dragons. Like, it seemed cool, so I bought it. And the decks were like okay, like they were like kind of balanced against each other. But I had this card Krenko Mob Boss, and so I built a deck around that because I was like, oh, it's a legendary creature. Like, this is a cool theme. I could do something with this. And over time, that deck became disgustingly powerful because I poured more money into it.
First you get goblins, then you get more goblins, then you get more goblins.
Then there are goblins that create more goblins.
900 power, 900 toughness goblin.
See, did you put any of the new goblin stuff from like Dominaria into that goblin deck?
No. Some of it. I've changed it a little bit since I got it from Jacob.
Yeah, so Anthony is the caretaker of that deck now.
And it's I feel like we can say his name on the podcast because he'll never watch this podcast. There's this player at our local game store who's, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit myself for this. He's a shitlord. And he's super pretentious about Magic, and like, he's just
the absolute worst, and the gatekeepers.
He's the worst kind of person.
Yeah, the gatekeepers that keep everyone out of their hobbies.
Yeah, no, so connecting back to our last podcast, he's a gatekeeper for sure. But to everyone, not just like to women or to like people that are less nerds than him. Even like, he's the gatekeeper of Magic to other people that play Magic. Anyway, point. This deck sits in sort of like semi-retirement with some of my other like kind of disgusting decks, and it's called a Mike Brown deck. because the person's name is Mike Brown. And those decks come out when someone is acting like Mike Brown. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right.
Wait, is Cranko one of those?
Yeah.
He is because no
Oh
one can play
yeah.
against him because he's so strong.
Well,
Oh
yeah, because
yeah.
turn 5, you've got 17 goblins already, and we're all trying to build a board state.
Franco, Miracle Vosk, Azami Lady of Scrolls are the top tier
Mike Brown decks.
Mike Brown decks. I have a lower tier Infect Damia Sage of Stone deck. That I play against people that are like, oh, I'm so good, like no one can beat me, but aren't like typically at the Mike Brown level. I'm like, oh, let me tell you about this really cool mechanic called Infect. And they're like, what is happening? What do you mean I'm dead? Anyway, that's my rant. Rant count.
Okay,
one.
wait. So what's your? Oh, okay. Anyways, we got off on a tangent. Okay,
Rant
so
count one.
I quit Magic for 3 years, and then I recently got back into it, because I was curious. One of my friends out here in Utah, I had given them one of my decks, and I asked them if
Now
they
they know
still
where
had
you
it.
live, Jacob.
Because I was curious. Yeah. Oh no.
The tiny
They're
state of
gonna
Utah.
hunt. They're gonna hunt me down.
In the entire state of Utah.
Yeah. So, yeah, have fun sifting through all the Jacobs. There's so many of them. So I asked him if he had another. This was a commander deck that I had built. It was the theme was chaos. And that was another deck. That's probably
As
my
we've
favorite
talked
deck.
about before, Jacob's the worst person to play games with because he's the agent of chaos and everything.
He just likes to break everything that's good in the world.
I don't know about that. It's more of like this is the meta. This is the way everyone plays the game. I'm gonna do something completely differently.
I guess you
It's fair.
I think, in a way, it's almost kind of a similar spirit to that of like people who look for glitches in video games or like speed run or whatever. Like you try and see what the game already has that can be used in a way that was not
Exploited.
intended.
Yeah.
So like, anyways, granted, you can't really do that with Magic. Like everything is intended to do what it does. I just like to do the things that people prefer not to do. So
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another deck that I think the Cranko deck and that deck were probably the decks that I've spent the most like time and love like crafting.
Or brewing as the Magic term is.
Yeah. So I asked him if he had the deck, and he said yes, and he told me some wonderful stories of games where everyone had quit instead of playing against it, and I was very proud.
Speaking of quitting, have you ever beaten someone or seen someone beaten so terribly that they quit Magic?
No.
I've done it twice, and I've heard about it happening 3 other times.
Oh man.
But I personally have done it twice. It's kind of like a haha feeling, but it's also kind of like a wow, I feel terrible feeling at the same time.
My thing is, like, if you're already that close, generally those people are what we call in the community spikes. And
what we do?
Spikes? I mean, you're spiking. You're trying to reach the highest point you can.
Peaking?
No, spiking.
Okay, I've never heard that term, but clearly I'm uneducated.
Jacob, do you know
Yeah.
okay.
No, yeah, I'm uneducated, so I don't know.
I think what she's saying is spiking is not when you quit Magic. Spiking is when like you are so good at the game that other people want to quit because
and they're tryhards.
Like,
well,
wow.
Yes, that is also part of it. But for my experience, as someone who has been called quote painfully casual as a Magic the Gathering player, whenever someone who is painfully casual wins or like is very cool about it and isn't a jerk, whenever they
so not my fiance.
Right, whenever they do something good,
She gets super
In the-
competitive. It's
in the
scary.
That's
game.
awesome. I would love.
She's-
I've never played
she's-
with her.
It's
so-
great.
No, she's so competitive at, because her family is really competitive about games.
Yeah.
But like, it's terrifying to play against her sometimes because she's just like very mean. It's true.
Yeah.
Don't make that face at me. It's true.
I mean,
I love
My-
you, but sometimes I wonder when we're playing games together.
my point was 9 times out of 10, those people who quit because they didn't have things go their way are spikes. They are people who want to do the best and who they're tryhards, you know? And when things don't
makes
go
sense.
their way, they're like, well, this is dumb, I'm out. That's my experience.
That's every game where I've beaten Mike Brown. He's acted like that, except he
You're-
hasn't quit Magic.
I will never forget the one game I beat him, and he was so mad about it because I was playing my Derevi deck. He was like, well, it's just...
That was the best night ever.
You remember
Oh,
that,
man.
right?
That was the same night that I was like, I just don't really like red isn't my favorite color, and he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He was like super offended about it. I was like, dude, I just said like that I didn't really prefer mono red. Like it was.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
good.
That was an
Anyway.
awkward
Oh
thing.
man, those were the days.
So how did you get back into it, Jacob?
He said,
I just asked my friend for
You
my
just
deck,
and then you were back
yeah,
into it.
and yep, and then here
Now
I am.
you're back down the rabbit hole.
I've spent like $200.
Oh, Jacob.
What? On what? On the chaos?
Well, on like a pre-release, on like lands, on
Wait, on the new set, you've spent that much already.
no, not on the new set. So like I
Oh,
went to 2
okay.
pre-releases, so that's
Okay.
$50. I bought a set of dual decks, so that's like 70. I went
Oh,
to a so maybe
I thought
not
you
like
just-
maybe not
I thought
200.
you just meant on the pre-release, and I was like, dude, you're supposed to be getting married soon. Like, what are you doing?
No. Yeah, so like I went to the pre-release in October. I went to this past pre-release. I went to like Friday Night Magic. I bought like so that's like 80. Yeah, I can't remember.
You might
Oh,
not
and
say this on air.
what
People
the other
just
part?
know.
Yeah, the other part was I bought some really old booster packs.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious. I'd never bought like a super old booster pack. I was just kind of like, I wonder what this is like.
I need to buy that beta series pack for $3,000.
Yes.
So I never quit Magic. I play a lot less than I would like to. But it's just like it's not my only hobby. Like I have other hobbies in terms of like nerd things. So I can't devote all my time or all my money to it. I would say I'm more than a casual player though.
That's fair. I mean,
Especially building the Infinity Stones deck. Holy crap, that deck is strong.
yeah. I mean, I would say you're definitely more than casual. I play, I think, the most out of the three of us.
Could you have the most free time?
Yeah, I guess.
Not getting married will do that too.
That's fair. I also just have like a very active play group here
That's true.
of
That
consistent people who I enjoy playing Magic with. I technically have 2 play groups, who I enjoy playing with and I see often. I try to play like once a week. I play Commander, and with a Magic Arena now coming out, I've gotten back into like Standard because I don't have to spend money on Standard. Because
Yeah,
Magic...
I might look more.
No one has
heavily
to
into
spend
Magic
money
Arena.
on Standard if you brew correctly.
Right. And it's great.
Like
and
I built a deck for $10 that ended up being in the Pro Tour, and I was like, wait, what? Why is this happening?
before Magic Arena, I would just draft a lot. Because
Drafting is great because
Right.
everybody's on the same playing field. The way drafting works is you get a group of people together, and then everybody gets 3 like packs of cards, and then everybody opens one of the packs, and you pull one card out, and then you pass the rest of the cards to the person next to you, and so on and so forth until all the packs are gone. and then you build your deck from the cards that you selected, and then
Right.
you play.
And it's kind of dual. It's fun for multiple reasons because you get the cards that you want, and you get to play the deck that you want versus like opening a random booster pack or playing sealed, where you just get 5 packs and you have to make a deck out of the cards in those 5 packs.
Sealed is so difficult.
Huh?
Sealed is so difficult.
Sealed is really hard. But yeah, so I guess I played a lot with you guys back home. Then when I came to college, I took a break.
You can say the East Coast.
I mean, yeah. When I came to college, I didn't know anyone who played Magic. I knew one guy, and he stopped playing Magic once his deck rotated out of Standard.
Scrub.
Yeah. So I was like alone and didn't play Magic for a while, and then finally, like after a year, I got back into it just by drafting, because I was like nervous to go to the local game store and make friends, and then I made
a female.
I mean, it wasn't even
a culture of.
It was a little bit of that, but it was a little bit of that, but it was mostly just like I have to talk to people, and talking is hard.
Did we talk about the cards before?
No.
On one of the podcasts that you're on? I feel like we did. We talked about it in the review, I think.
Oh, wait, yes.
Or in the look ahead, rather.
Cards. Those cards.
Yes, the cards that say.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They might have come up. Yeah, the cards.
You're not willing to fornicate.
I mean, it's they simply say that I'm not attracted to you, but I would like to be your friend. And
it's kind of a shame that you have to have those, but anyway, that's a tangent.
That's a whole separate. That could be an episode. But yeah, so then now I've been solidly like having fun with Magic, and it's been great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Speaking
All right.
of cards, what is our favorite card / mechanic? Or
let's go with card first.
Let's go card first. I feel like that's straightforward. It's been the same for me ever since like day one of Magic, basically.
So what is your favorite card then?
It is it is a white enchantment called Ethereal Armor. And and you get +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. You enchant a creature, and that creature gets a +1/+1 to their power and toughness based on how many enchantments you control. So you just load the board up with enchantments and make all of your creatures massive and swing for like 12 damage with one creature, and it's great.
And then you play a board wipe and wipe all enchantments from the field.
Well, you know, that's also a thing. I'm not saying Voltron decks are the strongest, but they're so much fun.
Okay, that's a fair and straightforward card, and at least you have the fortunates to have liked one card, and that card has been your favorite. My favorite card changes faster than I change my shirt.
Right.
But I mean my favorite, like, and it's not because it's so good or like whatever, but my probably one of, and if I have to pick just one off the top of my head, one of my favorite cards ever is Murder. You play it at instant speed, which means you can play it on other people's turns. 1 generic mana and 2 black. Destroy target creature.
I mean, you want to talk about straightforward cards.
you look at that creature and you're like, nah, fuck that creature. You kill it.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Put one in the swear jar.
I'm losing one.
Jacob.
But cards also. Additionally, a reason that Murder is my favorite card, and we're not going to get into this because we'll talk about this half of Magic forever, is a lot of cards have their like rules text, which is written in just like print, like what they do. Like Murder says, destroy target creature, and then a lot of cards also have like text in italics. That's called flavor text, and it's about like the lore or like something that's happening in the card, or like whatever. And the flavor text on one of the releases of Murder was, "It's not work if you enjoy it."
I mean, if we're talking flavor text, that adds a whole nother layer of like
every goblin.
Yeah. Lava
That's true.
axe. Catch.
What's the one goblin with the pit, Jacob? You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking
Cutter
about
or
bottom?
something?
I thought you were
Where
talking
he's
about
like,
bottomless pit, where it was like it came with the place. Like,
oh no, there's a goblin card that says it's two goblins talking to one another, and the first goblin says, "It's only a short jump. We go this way."
Yeah.
And the goblin jumps. He goes, "Ah!" And then the second goblin or the first goblin was like, "We go different way now."
I don't know. I've never.
I want to say it's Goblin Shortcutter, but I might be wrong. I have an entire list of just great flavor text.
I also like all of the homunculus flavor texts. Like
Homunculi are so rare.
jeering homunculus. Mythal thick had always hated crowds, and they always hated him.
Is that how that's pronounced?
Yeah, well, this one's different than Fibblethip. Fibblethip is the most common and prominent homunculus, just used in Ravnica, which is
I've
like the
never
most.
heard of either of a
Fibblethip?
person being able
That
to pronounce the name properly.
This has come through many hours of me doing research about a thing we might talk about.
Ah, yes. Okay. Jacob, your favorite flavor text. Before we get there.
Favorite flavor text? I think one of my favorite flavor texts is the Canyon Minotaur flavor text.
How does that one go?
Let me look it up real quick. Because I haven't thought about it in a while.
I also like anaconda. If you're smaller than the anaconda considers you food. If you're larger than the anaconda, it considers you a lot of food.
Oh, grip of phoresis also has a great flavor text. Even your blade knows you will triumph.
Wall of swords. When I said we needed more swords to defend the realm, this isn't exactly what I meant.
That one's good.
Canyon Minotaur's flavor text is: we'll scale these cliffs, traverse Brittle Bridge, and then fight our way down the volcanic slopes on the other side. Isn't the shortest route through the canyon? Yes. So shouldn't we? No.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It reminds me of the quest in Borderlands 2 that Claptrap gives you, where you have to like traverse the entire planet, like doing all these random tasks, and then it's like revealed that the goal of the quest is like standing behind him or something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. So, what is the favorite deck you've ever played or played against? I will add that in because my favorite deck is not one that I play.
What is it? We're dying to know.
So one of my friends runs the 4-color commander. Hold on, the group. It's the group hug. The gay couple across the street.
Okay.
What is their name? I always forget.
I don't know because I only know them as the gay couple across the street.
I know.
I don't know.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up really quickly. Allow me. But he runs a pillow fort deck, so he runs all these enchantments that.
Is it Rowan and Kieran or whatever?
Yeah, it's the same. It's along those lines.
I thought they were brother and sister.
They are Ajax and you're thinking of Ajax.
You're thinking of Ajax and Siamede.
Siamede, and they are married because they are the king and queen of Theros.
And not brother and sister.
And not brother and sister.
No, wait, no, the Battle Bond ones. The Battle Bond ones. They're
different. Will and Rowan are brother and sister.
Will and Rowan, okay.
And they're the Planeswalkers. No, I'm talking about, there it is. Kyranos and Tiro of Meletes. They are the first gay couple ever introduced into the world of Magic of Gathering officially, and they are 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield, then each opponent who didn't draws a card. So this guy at the game store I run, his name's Chris, his name's Chris. Okay. He runs this deck, and the whole goal is for you to draw your deck, for you to deck it out.
He has Laboratory Maniac?
Yes, he does. He has Visit of a Lab
Okay,
Man.
good.
But you're gonna draw like 9 cards a turn. So
Wow.
it's
What a
so
dick.
efficient. He's fractured. No, but it's so fun because no one ever knows what's happening unless you've actually seen him win, and then it's like great. Because like there are some games where he's just sitting there and you're drawing an extra 3 cards and you're like, oh man, you're so helpful, and then like he always
What's
comes
his
in
win
second.
con?
His win con, drawing you
Yeah.
out.
That's
drawing
it?
you out. Yeah. But he's got so many cards that are like at the beginning of your upkeep, you draw an additional card. Or on your draw step, instead of drawing 1 card, you draw 2.
That can blow up in your face so hard, though.
Yeah, but his whole goal is not to win. Honestly, he just likes having fun with it.
Weird. A strange
And-
concept. Fun.
And I'm here for it, and I love playing against the deck.
He
He's
is-
also just a cool dude.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's very much in that same vein as Jacob, where it's like, you take something that people know and you love, and you kind of flip it a little bit and make it weird.
That's
And
the nicest way I've ever heard anyone put that.
But yeah, I really like that deck. I mean, seeing him play his made me want to build one of my own.
Okay, what is your favorite deck that you play though?
Derevi Imperial Tactician, tap untap shenanigans.
And it's really interesting because you used to hate that deck.
Right,
I
it
remember
used to be the
correctly.
Seinfeld deck. It used to be the deck that did nothing because I didn't know how to make it work. Right, yeah. I didn't know how to make it work. I didn't know how to abuse her abilities because she's a really powerful commander.
There's a lot of
Like-
sentences here that I'm really glad you're finishing.
Fair.
No,
But-
she is very strong.
And when you use her correctly, she can really win you a game.
Bird person.
She is a bird person.
She's
and
a bird wizard.
yeah, she's a
She
bird
is
wizard.
also the word.
And finally, one day I was just sitting there and I started researching. And this is why I like deck lists, is because deck lists give you inspiration to help you
Build decks.
to help you build the deck, right? And like I just went to one of the websites, I went to EDA Track and I was like, what are the most common cards? And I looked at the most common cards and I was like, well, I don't want to be a jerk.
I also don't want to spend $600.
I don't want to spend $600, but I do want people to view it as a threat. So
You became the threat
I
player.
became a threat player.
So I think we've been through what Jacob's favorite deck is. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Chaos.
Have you played the coin flip commanders at all, or thought about playing the coin flip commanders?
No. There's a lot of new cards that have been introduced.
Anthony, I want you to
I know somebody that plays.
Oh, I know many people who play them, and they're great. I love them.
Ooh. Sorry, I'm looking through cards. So yeah, Chaos Deck is definitely my favorite because, and I've had mixed reactions to it. I've had some people.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's back.
Some people
I
be
lost.
like,
I lost
happy.
you guys completely.
Yeah. Oh no. But we're back now. It's fine.
Okay. What were you saying? I missed you.
Just like the Chaos Deck is my favorite. It has a lot of. It has had mixed reactions. Some people have been like some people have cussed at me and been like, "Oh, like you're the worst," and then other people have just forfeited apparently. And then other people are like, "This is fun," and I'm like, "Thank you."
Who's my commander for it?
Shatter Gang
Gang
Brothers.
Brothers.
Shatter Gang Brothers. I don't know what that card is. All the Chaos
It's-
decks I
it
see
is
are Norn the
super-
Wary.
It's everyone
super-
suffers. It's like I sacrifice something, then everyone has to sacrifice something.
It is
Oh.
obscure. Shattering Brothers, like you were like, oh, I found the perfect commander. Shattering Brothers, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I have played against this deck. I have absolutely played against your Shatter Game Brothers deck. I really enjoyed it. I remember it because I don't.
Yay.
I don't
The
hate.
deck bothers me because you don't run Scrambleverse in it.
No, I do. Scrambleverse is in it.
Oh, then I like the deck.
And Warp World. So.
Okay, I don't like the deck anymore.
Yeah. But that's fun. I enjoy that.
I have a lot of decks, a lot of commander decks, and I'm partially it's because I really enjoy playing Magic, and partially because I really enjoy building decks. My top 3 right now, like my favorite deck that I've probably ever built has been my casual Vampires deck, because I love Vampires and Magic. The first Innistrad block had so many great cards in it, and it's just like vampires, and I loved it. And so my favorite 3 commander decks right now are my Tribal Pirates deck, which is just like everything is either a pirate or a pirate ship or something that gives me pirates or pirate ships or treasure. So the theming in that deck is very good. So that deck, and then I have a Tribal Vampires deck that is run around a popular vampire family in the lore called the Markovs. And the grandfather is the commander, and then his grandson is in there like I think 4 times. I think I have all of him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I have Soren, and then Soren Angry Boy, and then Soren Sad Boy, and Soren Good Boy.
Yeah. Soren Good Boy, he's the black white one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this? I'm gonna click on it. Okay. I'm not gonna click on it because I don't know what that says. And I'll get distracted as I just did. The Vampires deck. Yeah. So that deck I've been enjoying a lot, and it sees a lot of play because it's 3 colors, which is like kind of strange, so it needs some tinkering still. And then I built because the caliber of players before I moved to where I live now, like right before I moved, I was playing against a lot of people who were just really good and had just really strong decks. And I was just getting like creamed. Like I was enjoying playing, but I could never win. And so I sat down one day and I was like, all right, I'm gonna brew a new deck. And I'm just gonna brew this deck and I'm gonna think about it and I'm gonna pour over cards for like 2 weeks, 3
Did you
weeks.
say you're gonna pour over the pages?
I guess that was a pun. I'm not sure.
It's a card out of Shadwick over Innistrad.
So it's like a pun,
okay.
but not.
It's a
really?
very niche.
It's a niche fun. Okay.
It's a
cool.
niche reference.
Anyway, so yes, I did that, and I built a deck that has come to be called the Infinity Stones deck, because when I initially built it, there were 6 ways to go infinite, with infinite damage, infinite mana, infinite creatures, sorts of things. I have since found more ways to go infinite, but since it was initially built with the implication that there would be 6 ways to go infinite, the commander is called Thanos. I call him that. The commander is actually a card called Zergo Helm Smasher, which is just awesome.
But he's like the closest you could look to
Yeah, he
Thanos, I
does
think,
look
like
like
in the
100%.
mythos of Magic the Gathering.
And there were initially 6 ways to go infinite, and a few ways where he can kill you each turn, or kill you in 1 turn, as soon as he comes on the field. He comes out, he has haste, he's a 7/2, and you onward to victory. +7 and double strike. What's that? You have 21 commander damage? You're dead? That's a shame.
By the way, the card that Jacob sent us is from Unhinged, which is a whole set
Now I have to look at it.
that Mark Rosewater does, where he's the current creator and like main writer for Magic the Gathering cards, and he does this fun little pet project called like the Un series.
Have absolute longest name ever, elemental. Or just call it what the heck?
It's
I'm gonna put that in over like an eternal witness, and since it's illegal to play, like, but it has the same mana cost.
That's
This is
so
the
good.
weirdest.
The unhinged cards are my favorite because it's just like it's Mark Rosewater taking the thing he loves and making it weirder. Like
I love the
like
group of asses.
yeah.
Oh yeah, those are pretty cool.
Badass, smart ass, good ass, cheap ass. What's the other one? I'm missing one.
And these don't count to the swear jar because
No,
they are
because they're
It's the
actual
name of a card.
keys.
And I don't remember what the last one is, but there's also the land city of ass.
Yeah. Which is a play on an actual card, City of Brass. But yeah,
Okay.
I really like that. All right, now the new set's coming out, or it came
We have
out.
to talk very briefly about the new set.
Yeah.
So we're already almost at an hour.
Yeah.
We'll have follow-up Magic discussion.
Oh, we have to.
Oh well,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
you can get on with the thing that you wanted to talk about, but that'll be your thing, and Jacob and I will just comment.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have to talk about that on the. What
Well,
they're talking about is I'm making a D&D campaign in the world of magic. That's all. That's all we can. We
We
have
could
to
talk
say
about that in like the D&D episode or something.
Yeah.
But we could also
So
come back
Magic
to it when
comes
you
out with a
actually
new
start
set
doing that.
every couple months. So they had a new set come out in October. They have a new set that is like releasing officially this weekend.
And a set is like a group of cards.
Yeah.
Each block has a certain amount of sets in it, between 2 and 4 sets.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the set is the group of cards that are released.
Yes, and Ravnica Allegiance is coming out, which finishes up all 10 of the Plane of Ravnica guilds, which are all 10 color combinations and
All 10 2-color combinations.
2 color combinations. Yes.
Yeah. And then there are in each set is like based around like a certain kind of lore. So all of the cards, the art, the themes, the mechanics for the cards themselves are all based off of a story. So and the way that Magic develops stuff is that it will either start with a story and then develop mechanics to fit that, or they'll have mechanics in mind and they'll develop a story kind of around that. And
that's why Magic has taken like a lot of really sharp left turns, like Kamigawa was like a super sharp left turn because they had the mechanics in mind, and then they were like, we're gonna write the story now.
Well, yeah, because they're like, we want ninjas so we can have ninjutsu.
I mean, ninjas are awesome though.
No,
Even just outside of Magic, ninjas are awesome.
I mean, I want to know what they were thinking when they came up with Ixalan.
They were
I think it would be really awesome if vampires, dinosaurs, pirates, and merfolk were all together.
My theory is that they like Mark Rosewater
high.
like went to his kids. No, Mark Rosewater like went to kids and was like, "Hey, kids, what's
What
the
should be
hot
a
new
new
thing?
set?
What's the hot
What's
new
the new
thing?
hot-
What is it that you kids like? I like dinosaurs. Okay, they're in. I want a vampire. They're in. Can I have mermaids? Merfolk. They're in.
What is the new hotness?
But yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, what were they thinking when they came up with Eldrazi? Somebody had like
Aliens.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Watched a lot of H.P. Lovecraft.
Lovecraft. Lovecraft and aliens. Lovecraftian aliens. They love to craft aliens.
Or there were aliens that happened to love crafting.
I mean, that fits over the theory.
Why is there always crafting in video games?
Yeah.
Although,
But yeah.
oh,
Wait.
Minecraft meets Kerbal Space Program.
with the new like Ravnica stuff, we should talk about what guild are you a part of, or would you be a part of if you were on the plane of Ravnica? Just really quickly.
Hey, what did your guild test?
Yeah, what did the guild test tell you?
Because I
Gruul
have,
and
I have.
Simic.
So what is Gruul and Simic, Jacob? Or what is Gruul? Because I'll explain Simic because it pegs me as a Simic.
Gruul is red green, and fittingly they are against the establishment, and like for the lore's sake, they believe that there will be a giant boar that will come and destroy
the end rays.
Yeah, it's gonna come and like destroy the city or whatever, and so because of that, they kind of feel like there's no point in living a civilized way. It's kind of like
Party all.
yeah, it's like party all the time, and but not quite party. It's more like survival of the fittest, and
Yeah.
so they're all about like kind of nature and destruction, and so they have red and green as their themes, as their colors. So
Yeah.
So Brenna, your guild.
The main one I got when I first took it was Orzhov.
nice.
Typical.
Yeah. Let's see. The eternal balance between life and
Brenna
sacrifice.
extorting people.
Yeah, extort. Yeah, no, just the balance of life and sacrifice. Also applicable though is Selesnya. I also got Selesnya. I always think I'm very much like outside of this. I'm a Bant player at heart. I like life. I like knowledge. I like nature.
We're getting
So-
philosophical.
So
And
Selesnya.
3 colors. You're cheating.
I'm saying like Orzhov and
Jund for life.
Selesnya makes sense for me.
It's all
Like
about Grixis. It's all about Grixis.
you're the
or-
worst. You
or
are
Es-
the actual villain.
Okay, Esper is worse than Grixis. Because
But
Esper
Grixis,
not only
Nicobolus is Grixis.
Okay. Yeah, but Esper not only takes your toys away from you, it uses them against you.
Yeah, so does Nicobolus.
Stop
though.
hitting him. Stop hitting yourself.
But Nicobolus does that too. I mean,
For
yeah,
the-
you could probably
for the
argue the Sen
don't make
triplets are the
sense.
worst. Like,
I mean, you're forgetting the artifact Shroom the Hegemon
oh, sure.
That's-
Yeah.
deck. I'm gonna take all my things out and run you over with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, my guild test pegged me as a Simic, which is all about it's blue-green and it's all about like evolution, and instead of like survival of the fittest, it's sort of like evolve to become the fittest, and like weird genetic kind of experiments.
Witcher stuff?
I mean, not Witcher stuff,
No, but
like it's very like if Resident Evil were tame and not about turning the president into a zombie.
fair. Yeah.
But I also play a lot of Demir because I'm a shitbag.
In the jar.
Demir is black-blue, like sneaky, underhanded tactics. The card I mentioned earlier, Mirko Vosk, the Mind Drinker, is a Demir card.
They've also got a lot of weird like assassin undertones and like impersonation undertones, like Lazav.
It's not
Yeah.
work. You enjoy it.
Exactly, murder, right? But yeah, that's the new set coming out, and then the
The new hotness.
huh?
The new hotness.
Yeah,
I just need to watch Men in Black to get that reference out of my mind. Like,
yeah. But there.
so, you have final thoughts? Since we're here now for almost an hour.
Magic is fun.
It's great. Get into it. Or don't. I mean, card games
Or
aren't for
don't.
everyone.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised by people that have gotten into card games. And okay. This is something this is something that like I'm gonna recognize because my fiance pointed it out to me after the bullying podcast, that it's sort of like a gatekeeping thing. But I originally and like you can stop me if I'm like sort of stepping over the line here, Brenna. But like I got Brenna into Magic as like for a thing for us to do together.
Yeah.
And then she just like took off and ran with it, and I was like, "Oh, what have I done?"
Right, because I really enjoyed it. It's
No,
I enjoy card games. Like I really do.
Yeah.
very surprised, and
I didn't think I would, honestly. And then
Speaking of that, we there was a night where we were all at a restaurant together, and
oh my
it was-
god.
we all we were
Yes!
waiting for our food. We
don't
were
circumvent
playing
your
together.
will.
Yeah, Anthony had this deck that was just really nasty, and we were I miscalculated the amount of damage it would take to kill him, and what
And
creatures
I was
were
the
on
only
Brenna's
one with
field.
creatures on the field. I was the only one with creatures who could
Yeah.
attack him because I had flying creatures and he had a bunch of board presence.
Yeah, and he survived with 1 life, and then proceeded to murder all of us.
And we looked down at my board afterwards, and there was one creature we forgot to tap, and it was Suntail Hawk, which is a 1-drop, 1/1 white flyer, and it haunts me to this day.
Yep.
That was also because I manipulated Connor into not attacking me.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
circumvent
poor
my wheel, Connor.
And Jacob was sitting there like, you can do this. You are the one.
I
are
remember
the chosen.
Jacob being really irritated with Connor.
Yeah. Because the two of us are sitting there like, what do we do?
There's nothing we can do.
There's nothing we can
Somebody
do.
else was with us.
Yeah, I don't remember what deck I
it
was playing.
Chuck.
Chuck
It was
was
Chuck.
with us.
Yeah, it was Chuck. And he was playing black, blue, something or other.
No, he was playing.
Yeah.
Was he? He might
Yeah.
have. I thought he had werewolves then, but
Oh, we might have had werewolves. I don't remember. But anyway,
that's the important.
on
note.
the note of Suntail Hawk, we should
Jacob
go.
had a lore thing to say.
Oh
Or
no,
was
no,
that-
that's outside of the podcast because it would be too long. But yeah. Anyways, Magic the Gathering, it's fun. You should, if you're into card games, I would recommend picking it up. You can. It's one thing that I love about it is, as far as hobbies go, it's a hobby that you can do cheaply. It requires a little bit more time, perhaps, to kind of theory craft, but it's a game where you can be casual and have a ton of fun, or you can try and go crazy and go to tournaments.
Somebody like me who has 15 decks and can't play them all at once.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a interesting design space to get into. So
And there's absolutely something for everyone if you want that. If you want a flavorful deck that ultimately doesn't do a lot, but you have fun playing it, that's great. Pirates, or a Zedru, another great deck that I didn't mention in the favorites was a guy had a Zedru deck where he was he was a librarian and he would lend out his artifacts.
That's great.
And then he would just homeward path them back, and you'd check them back in.
oh, man.
He never won. He never won.
What were the late fees?
Oh, the
Blind
late fees were
obedience.
murder. Were murder and blind obedience and propaganda. Yeah. It was great.
See, if someone had been listening, if someone has been listening to this podcast and not realized that we're talking about Magic, we are all on a government watch list. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
All right, yeah, it's great to have you back on the Dr. Z show.
It's good to be back.
Come back soon.
I think
I
next
mean,
week was board games.
I think
perhaps?
I think we're talking about board games for next week. But
Sneak
we'll see.
preview.
So what card games do you guys like? If you like other card games or other trading card games like the Pokemons or the
Yu-Gi-Oh!
people still play Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes, one of my friends here does, and he's the one who I got the children's card game for his
It's not very
sons.
big.
Or a deck builder game like Dominion or DC Deck Builder or.
That's a whole. I love Dominion.
I've been playing a lot of DC Deck Builder, so.
Yeah, so if you guys like card games, let us know. And if you play Magic, let us know what kind of Magic you play and how much you like it and what decks you play, and we will release our judgment upon you, or not.
Or just say that's cool.
Yeah, this
Yep.
has been the Dr. Z show, and we will catch
Adios.
you guys next time.
Bye.